things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever home. Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rip'n Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rip'n Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Hello.
All universes, check it in, sir. Thank you, sir.
This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rip'n Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rip'n Common Sense Radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Are ghosts real?
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Does time travel actually exist?
The laws of physics seem to be compatible with time machines.
You know, sometimes I wonder about reincarnation. Don't you?
A 4-year-old boy in Adelaide, Australia, has told his parents that he used to be Britain's Princess Diana.
What would happen if the world found out that aliens were real?
I didn't say disclosure would be easy, but what is the alternative?
To establish a space force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We have so many questions and yet so little time, so to have you here, the pleasure is all mine.
Coming to you from a secret mountain cave, hidden deep within the Idaho wilderness, this is the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live across the multiverse from a secret cave hidden high up in the beautifully snow-covered peaks of the Idaho mountains. That's right, we're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting a series we're going to continue on every Wednesday night for the next 50 weeks. That's right, this is called the State of Mystery series, and we're going to go through each state in the U.S. and talk about a couple different paranormal stories in each state. I'm hoping to cover a cryptid, a UFO, and a ghost story per state. We're going to see how that works out tonight as we kick off this brand new series on the DarkWolf's Den Show. That's tonight, June 9th, 2021. But first, today in history. That's right. On this day in 1869, pharmacist Charles E. Hires sells his first root beer in Philadelphia. That's right, a drink that I to this day cannot get enough of. And that is today's Today in History. I don't know, I love me some root beer, but what about cream soda? I like me a good cream soda every now and again too, right? What do you guys think? What do you like better, root beer or cream soda, right? 1 in the chat for root beer, 2 in the chat for cream soda, 3 in the chat if you just don't even drink any of that mess, right? While we're speaking of Alabama tonight, you know, I was raised in the South, and another thing that I love is the Southern cooking, right? Which brings us to our next segment.
Say what?
Our quote today, ladies and gentlemen, says, "You can say a lot of bad things about Alabama, but you can't say Alabamans as a people are unduly afraid of deep fryers." In the first week at the creek, the cafeteria served fried chicken, chicken fried steak, and fried okra, which marked my first foray into the delicacy that is the fried vegetable. And that comes to us from novelist John Green in the novel Looking for Alaska.
Say what?
If you haven't fried a vegetable before, you have not lived, especially if you have not had fried okra. I won't eat okra any other way, that's right. And tonight, of course, we're talking about a state that loves their fried okra a lot. I know you guys down there in Alabama love it because I'm from your neighboring state, Tennessee, and I spent a lot of time down Alabama way, and I've had quite a few fried okra dinners down there. So I know you guys love your fried vegetables. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And tonight we are going to be talking about Alabama. We are going to start digging into the state of mystery. That's right. I've been working this idea around in my head for a little while, and I figured we would go through the United States, and every single state has some paranormal something about it, right? Every state has a ghost story. Every state has a cryptid. Every state has a UFO story. So I'm going to go through every state, and we're going to present at least one of each of these stories per state and show just how much magic exists, even just within the United States, let alone the rest of the world. And we may expand this as we finish this series. We may expand it to an international story. Who knows, right? But that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dig into our first story tonight, and that is the story of the White Thing. That's right, a cryptid creature, much like a Bigfoot. Here to tell us about this creature tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is the channel from YouTube called The Unknown Files.
Somewhere in the triangle between Morgan, Etowah, and Jefferson counties, Alabama, people are seeing a creature more than 7 feet tall and covered in white hair. It's been sighted in Happy Hollow, Walnut Grove, Moody's Chapel, and Wheeler Wildlife Refuge.
And of course, strangely enough, though out of place, the first cryptid that I think about when I think about a huge white-haired 7-foot-tall creature is the Yeti. But that lives in the mountainous regions, not in the southern woodland regions.
And it's called the White Thing. Reports of the White Thing, remember, this is Alabama.
And yes, it is spelled that way, Thang, Thang. I had to look it up myself, and I put the White Thing, and it come back White Thang. I said, all right, well, I am corrected then. So that is exactly how it's spelled, how it sounds.
Date back to the 1930s, and the reports of the monster vary. At times, the beast is described like an albino Bigfoot, or maybe an albino bear.
Now, albinism among a Bigfoot tribe I had not even considered, but if the Bigfoot is a natural creature of the earth, then albinism, or the ability to have an albino creature of the species, would definitely be a thing to consider, because we've seen albino in every single species on the planet, so why would the Bigfoot be any different, right?
Other descriptions compare the beast to a lion or even a large cat-dog hybrid. Other reports take on a ghostly tone. The descriptions of the beast are varied, to say the least.
Which is definitely not something I like to hear when researching a case file. When you've got a lot of varied reports, it brings into question exactly what's going on here.
However, there are a few similarities. The creature always appears to be covered with long white hair, but overall witnesses did not seem to be frightened of the sight of the wild thing, or of the things that it did. The thing that they were afraid of, though, is its screech. The shriek is described like a woman or a baby crying, not only barks in the dark woods at night. Witnesses have heard the sound coming from the hulking, white-haired monster as it loomed over them and screeched into their face. The White Thing is said to even climb trees to wait for people to walk beneath it.
Of course, climbing trees to me would be a kind of a natural thing a Bigfoot would do, right? If it is a monkey or ape-like creature.
In later decades, it's been described as upright and at least 7 feet tall. Well, there is one element about the creature shared by many witnesses. They can't make out any detail of the monster, like hands or facial features.
Which, to be fair, it did say it had a lot of long, shaggy white hair, so perhaps the hair just discards the ability to see certain features.
Many have speculated that the White Thing is an albino Bigfoot, or maybe a large albino bear.
I don't buy the bear theory for a number of reasons. Number one being it said they couldn't make out the face or the hands. Even the shaggiest of polar bears, you can very clearly make out their claws and their face. So that I don't see being a bear. Also, I've never in my life been in the presence of the bear and had a calm feeling. I don't care what color the bear is. If I'm in the presence of a bear, I don't tend to feel calm because I know I'm probably the dinner to that bear, right? So I don't buy this being an albino bear. It just doesn't match up with all the details of the case files. Also, now that I think about it, I've never heard a bear screech either. I've heard a bear growl, and I've heard a bear make some interesting sounds, but I've never heard a bear screech in someone's face. Especially just screech in someone's face and run off, right? Live to tell the tale. Now, if the bear was that close, it was probably swinging paws if it was a bear. The more I think about this, the less I see it feasible that a bear fits the scenario here.
Peter J. Gossett writes on his website of Winston County history, freeofstatewinston.org, that his aunt, Fanita Martin Smith, knew people who reported the White Thing. Smith told Gossett,
"Now, to be fair, this part of the story is third-hand information, so do keep that in mind."
Old man George Norris seen it over there in Enon Graveyard, and he said it looked like a lion. You know, bushy, betwixt a dog and a lion. It was white and slick with long hair. It had a slick tail down on the end of the tail, a big old bush of hair. He leant up against a tree and fell asleep. When he woke up, the sun was just rising, and the White Thing was laying right beside him, and it was looking at him. He said it didn't offer to hurt him or nothing.
There's a whole lot here. First, I've never heard of a Bigfoot with a tail. That's a brand new thing for me with a Bigfoot. And perhaps it's just a variant of the species. I don't know. But a Bigfoot with a tail is a little bit different. But then again, I've never seen a bear with more than a stub tail either, right? So definitely can't be a bear. And most bears don't lay down beside you and just kind of watch you. If they come up on you like that, they're probably going to be a little more aggressive. That's just my opinion, of course. This sounds to me more like a Bigfoot.
Unlike Bigfoot, however, is the folklore attached to the White Thing. Older Alabamians talk about seeing the White Thing around funeral wakes, with some saying that when they were a child, they knew they would see the White Thing anytime someone passed away.
Now that also is another really strange element of the story. Kind of like a twisted version of the Mothman, right? He was always seen before things happened. This thing's seen when things happen.
Others extend the death association to appearances of the White Thing during hog killings. There is a story of an old woman who heard a commotion outside her house one summer night. Figuring some animal was at her garden patch or perhaps disturbing her dogs, she grabbed her hoe and headed outdoors. She was surprised to see her dogs cowering and whimpering on the porch. She headed for her garden, which was next to the house. There she found the White Thing helping itself to vegetables from the garden plot. Both she and the creature startled each other. The creature dropped the vegetables and ran past her on all fours, heading for the woods. Maybe the White Thing is an invention of the imagination, an omen or harbinger of death or bad luck. Maybe it was created to help make sense of the world long ago, passed down until it became part of the local legends and lore.
We can speculate all day, but one thing is for sure, in Alabama, there's a White Thing running around somewhere. And next up, ladies and gentlemen, Alabama also has its own version of UFOs. That's right. They've got the same thing that Colorado has, and that is cattle mutilations. There's been quite a few cattle mutilation stories, especially in the 90s, that have come out of Alabama. The first documented incident of cattle mutilation was reported on October 20th, 1992 in Alabama by an Albertsville cattle farmer, John Strawn. The animal was discovered in a wooded area of Mr. Strawn's pasture by a neighbor who found the animal dead lying on its side. The animal's entire milk sack was missing, with no evidence of blood on the animal, nor on the ground where it lay. The neighbor said the neat oval incision where the udder had been removed appeared to be charred, which we find this in quite a few cattle mutilation stories. Number one, the lack of blood in the animal or in the crime scene whatsoever. Next, we have the neat incision that is laser precision, and from the evidence of charring, most likely a laser used. Other farmers in Albertville area said soon started reporting similar cases over the next 2 months. The same organs were reported missing, though what was taken varied from animal to animal. In many cases, the rectum had been cored out neatly, with no evidence of blood or fluids present. And once again, how can you cut anything open without the presence of blood? That is impossible by standards that we know on this planet. On female livestock, the organs had been removed in an identical fashion with clean, bloodless incisions. You can guess which organs were removed from the female. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But it was removed with a very clean bloodless incision once again, which is pretty well a word we hate to use on this show, but impossible. Yep, that's right, I just cussed. On male livestock, the organ had also been removed, again in an oval bloodless incision. Now that's interesting too. And we find in a lot of abductee cases they removed certain organs from the patients, like the eggs and the male reproductive materials, if you will. I got to be careful here because we are still on YouTube also, and I want to be able to keep us on YouTube as long as possible. All right, it says here, in early January, Albertville Police Department Chief of Detectives Tommy Cole reported that his ranch, too, had fallen victim to the mutilators when a black Angus steer fell prey to phantom surgeons. It was at that point that the Fife Police Department began working closely with the Albertville Police Department to further investigate the continuing incidents of mutilations. On January 31st, 1993, a rancher in the Dawson community led investigators to the carcass of a black Angus cow. The animal's parts and rectum had been cored out in a large incision that left a hole the size of a coffee can. The animal's jaw had been completely stripped in an oval incision that encompassed it. The entire right side of the animal's face. The tongue was completely gone, cut deep down to the throat. There was no blood present on the animal itself, nor the ground surrounding it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is just two of the incredible cases that have come out of Alabama and the cattle mutilations. And there's a lot of cattle mutilations that have happened across the country, but in places like Alabama, you've got farmers that is one of their main sources is the cattle, right? So we have also heard many different case files of different cattle mutilations many times when we've discussed UFOs and different abductees who have spoken. Remember, we spoke of one abductee who had actually spoken about having seen a cow abducted while they were abducted, and they were very disturbed at what they seen going on. And we have time for one more story before we get to the break. This is from 1973. Says Alabama police chief's photo of alleged alien published around the globe. And it basically looks like Marty McFly in the silver suit when he gets out of the DeLorean in the past. If you've ever seen that, that's exactly pretty much what it looks like. Back to the Future, if you've ever seen that. During a UFO flap across the southern U.S. in October 1973, Jeff Greenshaw, the 23-year-old police chief of Falkville, Alabama, said he encountered a strange being and produced a photograph to prove it. Greenshaw told the Associated Press that on the night of October 17, 1973, just 6 days after the now famous UFO abduction case in Pascagoula, Mississippi, he was investigating a call from a woman who claimed a spaceship had landed in a nearby pasture. Greenshaw said he didn't find a UFO, but he did come across a creature dressed in what appeared to be a space suit, end quote. He was standing there in the middle of the road, said Greenshaw. I got out of my patrol car and said, "Howdy, stranger," but he didn't say a word. Greenshaw grabbed a Polaroid camera from his police car and snapped several photographs, then turned on his vehicle's flashing red and blue lights. At that point, he said, the being, quote, started running faster than any human I ever saw, end quote. Greenshaw pursued in his patrol car, but said the rough terrain prevented him from catching up with the fleet-footed stranger. A blurry, inconclusive photo of what appears to be a humanoid figure in a metallic spacesuit, or wrapped in aluminum foil, was printed in newspapers across the world in the days that followed. Once again, it looks like Marty McFly in that silver spacesuit that he wore when he got out of the DeLorean in the past, in Back to the Future. In the weeks that followed, Greenshaw's life turned upside down. He was ridiculed in the community, his trailer home suspiciously burned to the ground, and within a month the town council fired Greenshaw from his police chief's position. While the case had been the source of much speculation over the years, little has been definitively established. One popular internet rumor, backed by anonymous bloggers who claimed to know the individuals involved, suggested that the tinfoil alien, end quote, was actually a speedy high school kid, and the hoax was perpetrated by certain locals who wanted Greenshaw out as police chief. If that is the case, they certainly got their wish. So this could very well have been a well-designed prank at the time. It is interesting that it happened within days of the Pascagoula, Mississippi case, which, when we get to Mississippi, that is definitely a wild and strange case. But what do you guys think so far? Alabama has some very intriguing case files so far, and we haven't even got into the ghost files yet. It looks like I was wrong, and we have time for yet one more case file. That one was a little shorter than I expected it to be, and this is called the Cloverdale, Alabama Spotlight Phenomenon. And I just hit the wrong button and spun myself to the bottom of the page, so let me scroll back up here and see what we got. A spook light is a type of rare luminous phenomena that frequently reported as a bright yellowish-orange ball of pulsating or flickering light about 1 to 3 feet in diameter and floating across open fields or above forests in sparsely populated areas. The distance from the observer varies greatly. While some are seen at close proximity, others may be as far as miles away. Some move about at a slow and steady pace, and others jump and dart about very quickly. A few will stop and hover for several minutes. For reasons unknown, a high percentage of spook lights have been seen in the vicinity of railroad tracks. These orbs are not reported as being solid objects, and I've actually seen one of these on a video just bouncing around a railroad track. It was called ball lightning on the video, and perhaps that's what these spook lights are, right? Nobody really knows. Spook lights have been seen in numerous locations in the U.S. for many years, and some of the more publicized areas include Marfa Lights, Marfa, Texas, the Brown Mountain Lights in North Carolina, Searcy, Georgia, and Gordon, Arkansas. And I don't know why it brought this up because I don't see. Okay, Alabama has one called Cloverdale, I guess. One location where this is very active spooklight areas, northwest Alabama. Here we go. Laurendale County, near the small town of Cloverdale. Based on historical data as well as a contemporary sighting, the overall size of this area where this phenomena has been seen appears to be about 15 miles long and 3 miles wide. The area begins outside Lexington and extends to a short distance west of Cloverdale. Inside this area appears to be very few specific paths or corridors where the vast majority of spook lights are seen. There appears to be a few very specific. I really screwballed that sentence, didn't I? The path that appears to be the most active extends from St. Florian to Cloverdale, which is less than 10 miles and 1 mile wide. And part of the path near Cloverdale is very active. It is rare, but has happened, for a CLS to be seen other than on its path. Of course, I think they mean Cloverdale's light, some spook light phenomena, but I'm just guessing here at this point. Basically, the spook lights. The available evidence seems to suggest that this is one of the best places in the U.S. to observe these wondrous balls of bright yellowish-orange pulsating light. One reason this area may be unique is that these luminous orbs are seen with much frequency. While an observer may spend an evening in one of those pockets and not witness a spook light, on another night at the same place the observer may view 3 or 4 of these bright orbs. In one case, 2 men observed 8 spook lights in one night. Some were in sight for just a few seconds, and 3 of them were in plain sight for a total of about 10 minutes. Another reason this is an excellent place is the size of the spook lights. Hundreds of witnesses have reported observing these large of yellowish-orange balls of pulsating light. Typically describe them to be very bright and about 8 feet in diameter. Most spook lights reported in different locations are less. this is one reason why they were years ago called lantern lights, because they were about the size and brightness of a lamp. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we got to leave it right here, and we will be back with the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Show after these messages. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We got to stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Ow! That's right. That howl means your weekend has begun. Hi, everyone. It's AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's Jerry Hicks Darkwolf's Den Show, the State of Mystery, Alabama? I know I am. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of Common Sense Radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Jerry Hicks and the Darkwolf's Den Show will return again tomorrow night, Thursday, June 10th. Starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Come along with him as he howls at the multiverse theory. Ooh, I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to it. And then Friday night, June 11th, Destination Vacation. That's right. Come along with me through the rabbit hole as we look at some of the top vacation destinations around the world. Then Saturday night, June 12th, salespeople. You either have it or you don't. Some people are natural-born salespeople, and some people are natural-born sales prospects. Come along with me Saturday night. We'll identify the two. Then we're going to end out the weekend right together Sunday night with a unique broadcast, perhaps a radio first, an interactive live magic show is going to take place Sunday night. Come along with me, invite your friends, your family's friends, as I'm going to be in need of several volunteers Sunday night as I bring to the airwaves, perhaps, potentially, a radio first in a live interactive magic show. There's going to be audience participation, illusions, magic, and mystery. What a wonderful way to end out the weekend right together. Sunday night starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. I'm excited and looking forward to bringing you my interactive magic show starring famous magician, world extraordinaire, AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. I made up the part of world extraordinaire myself. Quite proud of that. If you haven't done so already, please hop on over to the rippinrabbithole.com. That's RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. There, you can sign up for your exclusive backstage pass. It's going to give you unfiltered access down the rabbit hole where the conversation continues. It's a lot of fun. You can set up your own profile in our exclusive social media network. You can join groups. You can post news items and topic suggestions, as well as the backstage 24/7 VIP chat lounge. A lot of fun. We'll return to tonight's topic, the State of Mystery, Alabama, for tonight, Wednesday, June 9th, with your host, Jerry Hicks. Now back to the Darkwolf's Den Show. You're listening to the Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network.
This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to Darkwolf's Den.
The Darkwolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And welcome back to the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. If you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, we are going over our state of mystery tonight, and that state is Alabama. That's right. So far, we went over UFO files. We went over the spook lights of Alabama. And we went over the white thing. That's right. If you missed any of that, make sure you go back and check out the first half of the show. But we're going to continue on with probably the most fun of every one of these episodes. I think it's going to be the most fun part, and that is the ghost stories of Alabama. That's right.
The Redmont Hotel. The Redmont Hotel in Birmingham was built in 1925 and is the perfect spooky start to our countdown. Multiple entities have been reported here, including a woman in white seen on the 9th floor, a phantom dog that follows those in the halls at night, and the full-bodied apparition of former owner Clifford Stiles, who appears in a snazzy suit and has been known to chat with visitors.
I gotta say, if I'm staying at a hotel and I have a conversation with someone that I find out was a ghost, that's gonna trip me out. I gotta say, even as a paranormal researcher, I'd trip out just a little bit. That would be kind of crazy. But then again, in my regular 80-hour-a-week job, I work as a desk clerk in a particular hotel, and I wonder how many guests that I've run into that were actually ghosts, right? Who knows? That's kind of a creepy thought now that I think about it. Back to the Alabama ghosts.
The most famous apparition cited here is that of Hank Williams, who was a frequent guest in life.
See, now I'm going to have to find my way down to this hotel, right? Just to see if I can spot Hank Williams. See if I can have a conversation with Hank Williams. Someday, when I make it back to the South, I'm stopping by this Rendlesham Hotel. You guys have my word on that. We're going to do an investigation there. It may take a couple years, but eventually we're going to get there.
Sturtevant Hall. Sturtevant Hall in Selma was completed in 1865 and, much like Stephen King's The Shining, plays host to a pair of ghostly little girls that appear together, often holding hands and playing in the yard.
Okay, I'll give it to Alabama. They got some creepy ghosts. The Shining ghosts? The girls from The Shining are real? Are you kidding me?
Also reported are doors opening and closing on their own, rocking chairs rocking by themselves.
And as we know, those are very common instances in a lot of haunting cases.
Multiple orbs caught in photographs.
Okay, I've always been on the fence with the orb phenomena. Perhaps we're going to have to cover that one night. That is one thing that I'm not 100% either way on, whether it's spiritual or dust particles. I'm not saying it's either. Don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing it. I just don't know how I feel about it one way or the other on that one. But when you stack it on top of the other evidences, then it has a little more impact, right?
Strange, shadowy figures in the halls at night, and the distinct feeling of being closely watched.
And that's something else I want to touch on really quickly. This is one of the reasons I believe that spirits and ghosts are the same thing as saying the soul or consciousness. I believe they're all one in the same, and here's why. Because we've already established many episodes ago, back at the beginning of the year, that we all know that we can feel somebody staring at us, right? We can sense when somebody's eyes are on us. Well, when you can sense that a ghost's eyes are on you, that means you can sense their consciousness viewing you. You feel like you're being watched, right? How many times have you heard a ghost case that the person said they felt like they were being watched somehow, but there was nothing or no one there, right? So many times in cases. So it does make you wonder, right, how feasible that may very well be. That they may be conscious entities that are watching from the other side, and you can sense them watching you, especially in this case here from Alabama.
The Moundville archaeological site in Moundville was used as early as the 11th to 16th centuries by native Mississippian tribes of the area. Being so old, it's not hard to speculate that countless people have lost their lives throughout this ancient area.
You know, that's something I'm going to have to look into. How many archaeological sites have reported strange activity? Aside from the cursed activity of, say, an Egyptian tomb or something, how many other archaeological sites have reported strange activities and unnatural phenomena occurring? That's an interesting question, right, guys?
Many report glowing orbs in the sky, the sound of tribal drums at night, the smell of tobacco smoke, and ghostly horses riding silently over the hills. Take caution while investigating this location. Several have become dizzy, even falling to the ground with no explanation or warning.
Now, that is very intriguing that it has physical effects on the human around. Whatever's going on, whether it's a stone tape situation where it's replaying actions, or whether it's a spiritual world crossover, it's strange that it has that strong of an effect on a human.
The USS Alabama, now resting in Mobile, was constructed in 1940 and served honorably in World War II. There is speculated to have been many deaths aboard, though no one is certain who or what haunts the ship. Many have reported disembodied voices, shouts, and full-bodied apparitions in old military garb. Several have reported hatches slamming dangerously close to fingers, and the very loud sound of many footsteps marching together in the middle of the night.
Oh, brr. Am I the only one that gets cold chills when you hear that? Man, I could just see, like, I could totally picture that happening, hearing the voices from the other end of the ship, and, the weird sounds, and yeah, I could, wow. That gives me absolute chills because, a lot of soldiers have died on the ship and have laid their blood there. So it's interesting that the spirit remains there for whatever reason.
The University of North Alabama in Florence was constructed in 1830 and has built quite the reputation amongst the paranormal community.
This university is haunted by what seems to be a variety of different types of ghosts. Check this out.
In Norton Auditorium, students report the apparition of a construction worker who died on the job, seen working on various parts of the structure.
And that would make sense, doesn't know he's dead and still doing his job every day, which really brings into question what goes on in the spirit world, right?
In Wesleyan Hall, objects are known to move on their own, and many report cold spots and the ghost of a Confederate soldier rounding corners.
So we have a construction worker and a Confederate soldier, and either one of these or another one that's moving stuff around in another hall. Okay.
Lastly, the ghost of General Sherman has been seen in various places around campus, always in a hurry, seemingly on one final mission.
And, there was a lot of battles and a lot of blood and a lot of war raged in the South, and I'm surprised that the majority of the South isn't haunted anyway. I lived in a house that was haunted, though it was the only house that had been on that property, so the ground itself could very well have been battleground at one time. Though it wasn't classified as battleground, who knows what actually happened at the time. With that said, it's not the only place that I've heard different ghost battles. In Tennessee, there's a Fort Donelson that has been known to have different ghostly appearances happen. We'll discuss that when we get to Tennessee. We got a long way to go before we get there. But in Alabama, there's another fort that also has some ghostly appearances.
Fort Morgan in Gulf Shores was finished in 1834 and was built on the site of the previous Fort Boyer. It withstood heavy attacks in 1814 and held its ground throughout the years. Many have reported extreme cold spots, the smell of gunpowder, the sound of musket fire, and disembodied military commands shouted across the grounds. The most famous apparitions here are those of a mysterious soldier seen patrolling the grounds, and a pair of dark shadows that has been known to chase any who cross their paths.
And as we're going to find as we go across this series, I have a feeling that these battlegrounds are going to be some of the most heavily haunted places in each state. That's a bet I'm willing to put on the table now. I don't know how right I am. Of course, I haven't went and looked at all the stats and states, so we'll have to see as we go along, but I have a feeling that's going to be the case, more so than not.
The Forks of Cypress in Florence are the surrounding structure and all that's left of what used to be a cotton plantation until it burned to the ground in 1966. Now privately owned, this patch of land also holds the Jackson Ford Ghost Bridge, which used to be open to the public. Many reports have sprouted up over the years, including ghostly singing around the bridge, wisps that dart between the trees and pillars, disembodied voices, and the odd feeling that the area is coming to life after dark. The most terrifying story from this area involving a visitor being attacked by a living tree.
I'm sorry, wait, what? Can you repeat that last part? I'm not quite sure I correctly heard what you just said.
The most terrifying story from this area involving a visitor being attacked by a living tree.
You mean like an ent from like the Lord of the Rings, right? A living tree. I know people have said trees are alive, but I don't know about being attacked by a living tree. Then again, I've been attacked by a couple trees in my time, but I was usually running through the woods when they smacked me in the face, so I was asking for it to be fair. But for real, though, I mean, honestly, to be attacked by a real, living, moving tree? Wow, I don't even know what to say to that. I need to stay away from the forest, Alabama. They got trees that attack people, ladies and gentlemen.
The University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa was initially finished in 1831 and is widely considered one of the most haunted universities in the United States.
And why is it considered one of the most haunted universities in the United States?
In the Marion Galloway Theater, the spirit of Marion herself can be sighted sitting through performances. In the Roundhouse, 3 ghostly Civil War soldiers who were ambushed here often appear, shocking visitors. The spirit of a tall apparition in a Confederate uniform has also been sighted stalking the grounds, especially when it's foggy. And former university president General Josiah Gorgas is commonly seen around his old house and has been known to chat with passerbys.
Now, I find it intriguing that is twice tonight that we've heard a ghost story about a leader who was still seen stalking the grounds and interacting with people years after passing away. Once again, I think I would trip out if I found out I just had a conversation with a ghost. What about you guys?
The Sloss Furnace in Birmingham was built in 1881 and in its earlier days was run by James Slag Wormwood. He was known for working employees nearly to death and only hired desperate men, placing them in hellish conditions in the belly of the furnace where temperatures reached well over 120 degrees. They were then forced to work ungodly hours with no breaks or lunches, and it became not all that uncommon for workers to find their peers dead at their posts. These conditions continued until, one day, Slag mysteriously became dizzy while crossing the catwalk above the large furnace and fell in, melting into nothing. The strange part about this was that Slag never, under any circumstances, went above the furnaces, but after his treatment of the workers and reputation, the case was dropped, no tears were shed, and no questions asked. Though it's widely accepted now that the workers threw him in.
And this is actually one of the most famous haunted places in all of Alabama. This is the one that came up first when I first put this in the Google question, or the DuckDuckGo, actually, search engine.
Those brave enough to investigate the Sloss Furnace report a wide range of terrifying manifestations, including electronics going dead within minutes, witnesses getting shoved by what feels like invisible hands, and doors and hatches slamming violently. Many have cited the full-bodied apparitions of workers appearing slightly zombie-esque as they frantically tend their tasks from life into all eternity. But why are these worker spirits trapped here, you ask? Local legend states that they're being held there by the spirit of, you guessed it, James Slag Wormwood himself, who appears as a disturbing and angry spirit with badly burned skin hanging from what's left of his body. This apparition has been known to be extremely aggressive, and any lucky enough to explore the Sloss Furnace should take extreme caution. With the severity of hauntings reported throughout the building and the fact that they've led to actual physical harm, it's no wonder we chose the Sloss Furnace as our pick for the most haunted place in Alabama.
And I cannot disagree. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the YouTube channel, The Speakeasy, by the way, over on YouTube. Do go over and give them a sub if you enjoyed what you heard them display here tonight. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we went over quite a few paranormal activities that have occurred in Alabama, in the state of mystery. You guys like this series so far? I do hope so. And I hope you look forward to our going down this list. We're going to go alphabetical down the list, state by state, and explore the different paranormal regions of each state. But in the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is look at the case files, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den may be closing, but don't you worry, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday, June 10th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, for an all-new episode of the DarkWolf's Den Show. That's right. Tomorrow, we're going to be covering the multiverse theory. The Mandela effect community, as well as a many variety of others, are very interested in the multiverse theory, and very well may be science also. And we're going to dig into all that more tomorrow, June 10th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, on the DarkWolf's Den Show, right here on Ripon Common Sense Radio Network. Then on Friday, June 11th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit takes back to the airwaves with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. That's right. On Friday, he's going to be talking about the destination vacation. That's right. What is your destination vacation? Do you have one chosen? Do you have an idea where you might want to go? Or do you have a whole list of places? AJ's going to talk about all that more on Friday, June 11th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show on Ripon Common Sense Radio Network. All shows here on the network start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, like the one on Saturday, June 12th, 2021, where AJ the Rippin' Rabbit's going to be talking about salespeople. That's right. Those salespeople can be annoying sometimes. You know, you walk in and, can I help you, sir? No, you can't. Good. Can I help you, sir? No, you can't. Can I help you? No, you can't. I'm kidding. I've never had that experience, but salespeople, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, June 13th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. It really does take an art to be a salesman, though. I tried that once. That is not for me, right? But ladies and gentlemen, if that's not for you, maybe you could check in on Sunday, June 14th, 2021. No, June 13th, 2021, because Dark Wolf can't count, right? Sunday, June 13th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as AJ the Rippin' Rabbit rounds out the weekend live with an amazing thing that you do not want to miss the show on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be a interactive magic show live. This could be a radio first, right? A live interactive magic show. And I cannot wait for this. This is going to be so much fun, guys. I can't wait to experience this myself, and I hope that a lot of you guys join in, because a magic show is always fun, right? I love a good magic show. I love a good magic trick, and I love a good magician, and AJ the Rippin' Rabbit is an extremely esteemed magician in the field. So do make sure you tune in on Sunday, June 13th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, for an interactive magic show live right here on Ripon Common Sense Radio and the RippinRabbitHole.com. Speaking of the RippinRabbitHole.com, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hop on over there and sign up for our mail list. Sign up for your Backstage VIP pass. That's right. It's going to unlock all the features of the Backstage, as well as giving you a weekly email with all of the topics we're going to cover all weekend long. That's right. While you're over there, make sure you drop down the rabbit hole, our exclusive social media space over there, as well as stopping by the 24/7 Backstage Lounge. Remember, the first weekend of every month in the Backstage Lounge is the Tuesday night videos, and I must take my top hat off to Miss Sandy B, the new champion of the Tuesday night video. She stole that championship belt from her daughter. Way to go, Sandy B. As well as CSN, the host of Tuesday night videos, as the champion of the Fantastic Fun Show for the month of June. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, I love hanging out over at that 24/7 Backstage Lounge. It's where you're going to find a lot of fun stuff like the Tuesday night videos, as well as amazing conversation with a good variety of people back there. So we cannot wait to see you, where I'm going to go right after the show here in just a couple moments, and I'll see you there. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And with that said, on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, Tom Bayless, and this incredible music. Get it, Tom? If you're looking for a custom soundtrack for your next project, make sure you contact Red Shed Studios and Tom Bayless. Information in the description below. That's right. On behalf of all these folks, ladies and gentlemen, as well as our amazing mod team on YouTube and everybody involved in Riffin' Common Sense Radio, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And remember, until next time, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody. Yeah, that's right.
Unlocked and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark